Thank you, Milia, and thank you, Rasmus. I think we are off to a great start already, and it's great to be here. What is the purpose of technology? We think that the purpose of technology is to solve problems, human problems. COVID-19 has posed in front of us some of the biggest problems and brought in front of us some of the biggest challenges, and finding a cure is just one of them. Technology companies have stepped in to meet these challenges by developing end-to-end solutions that are ready to deploy, or by providing us tools that we can use to build our own solutions. Today, we want to talk about these challenges and how technology helps meet them.
Yes, and before we go to the actual examples and ways how technology has helped, we could take a step back and think a bit about the different challenges that there have been. On this slide, you can see some of the challenges that came into our minds when we were discussing about this topic. And as you can see, there are very different types of challenges, from healthcare to misinformation to education, for example. And therefore, there has been also a lot of ways and chances for technology to help. For example, my own experience is that I started working at Microsoft last summer, so right at the time when everything was closed and you weren't able to go to work. And I haven't been able to meet pretty much any of my colleagues in person, and actually Vibha is one of the first colleagues I've met, and we met here today something like 30 minutes ago. So it has been a very different way to start working and start at a new workplace, and also a very different way to get prepared for this speech. But from there, I think we could go to our first example, which will be about going remote.
That's correct. With COVID-19, social distancing, quarantining, remote working has become the new normal. From lively classrooms to buzzing board meetings, we overnight went to using online meeting tools and web conferencing tools. These, however, had their own set of challenges. The online meeting tools and web conferencing tools needed to provide an inclusive and secure platform. They needed to integrate with the tools, the office tools, as if you were working in the office. They needed to fight distractions, isolation. They also had to be a little fun while you're working, and they also had to respond to the needs of all. For example, education. The needs of a K-12 educator are different from the need of a researcher, for example, so they needed to be flexible. The technology companies that build these tools have responded and have quickly built a lot of features into their tools. Let's take example of education. Today with the online meeting tools, you can assign, track, and grade assignments. You can raise a hand just like you could do in a classroom. You can integrate with your own LMS systems like Canvas. And you can all have a fun background to make the class much more fun. With features like live captions, it will be easier for everyone to follow the meeting. By using AI segmentation tools, you can put everyone to the same background and make them feel like they are in the same room. You can bring ideas together on a whiteboard. You can integrate these meeting tools with, for example, virtual visits or electronic healthcare record systems. All of this is possible without the need of any coding. These are just tools that are ready to deploy. And I think technology companies have done a great job at it.
The next examples we are going to talk about are related to the power of data visualization. Data visualization itself is a very powerful tool, and the basic idea is that with only one glance, a user or person can understand and get a lot of information out of the images about the data. As the saying goes, an image can tell more than 1,000 words. In the beginning times of COVID-19, there was a lot of confusion and a lot of questions. People didn't know what was happening, and it was very important for organizations and countries to be able to be visible and to provide the rightful fact-based information for the citizens and for the people, and also to do that to tackle disbeliefs and misinformation. The first concrete example is from Red Cross Spain. So they have used data visualization to to track their own performance and also communicate about how they are doing. So they have mobilized over 67,000 volunteers across Spain in the different provinces. And these data visualizations are publicly available for anyone, so for the citizens, for the volunteers, for public administration and so forth. And Red Cross Spain has also used these visualizations to analyze their own work, so how they've been doing, are they, for example, lacking somewhere in some provinces, and what should be the next best actions for them. And then the next example is from USA Facts. USA Facts is a not-for-profit organization whose mission is to make governmental data available and understandable for all Americans. And they have created these kind of interactive visualizations to gather COVID-related data and numbers on state level and also on the country level. And they have been collecting this data from various sources, from local and state level, and from different governmental offices. And also they have done cross-checking and validation to ensure that they have the right information and right data for the people.
That's correct. And just like it was important to get the right information available easily to the general public, it was also important to make sure that essential supplies, medical supplies, are available where there is demand. And our supply chain management systems play a crucial role in it. Supply chain management systems every day deal with a lot of challenges, like environmental factors, changing weather, today's weather, unexpected events, news, disruptions. To be able to monitor these disruptions, they should be able to make use of historical data, like various indices, like customer purchase indices, historical indices. But with COVID-19, it was important that these systems have a near real-time picture of the inventory so that they are able to get the products where they're needed the most. The supply chain management systems today work intelligently with systems like IoT hubs. You can easily set up an IoT hub and configure it to signal and produce actionable insights. You can set up the devices hub and configure it to send messages in simple readable formats like JSON. You can set up your own metric. You can set up your own scenarios like production delays, equipment downtime, product quality. And all of this is possible with the minimal need of coding. One of the examples of this is Invitalia, which is the Agency of Economic Development in Italy. Invitalia was tasked with procurement and distribution of essential medical supplies, for example, PPE kits. Together with their partner Azure, they were able to develop a solution within a matter of 2 weeks to simplify the complex process of procuring PPE kits from suppliers across the world and distributing them across Italy. And I think that's a commendable feat.
And the next example is probably a bit more familiar to you. So we are going to talk about the Coronabot developed by HUS. HUS developed this Coronabot right after COVID hit last spring with our partners Tietoevry and Innofactor. And at that point, as discussed already, there was a lot of confusion, a lot of questions. People were wondering what are the symptoms of corona, how should they go to the test, should they go to the test? And instead of having a huge amount of healthcare professionals answering phones, they decided to lift the burden from people to technology. And what you can do, or basically anyone can do with Coronabot, is that you can make self-assessments of your own situation. So basically you will answer different kind of questions that the bot is asking about your symptoms. And if you have, for example, traveled abroad, or if you have met people who have had COVID. And based on these answers you give, the bot will then give you a recommendation whether you should go to the test or not. And if you should go, the bot will also help you to book the appointment to the test.
Yeah, and one interesting trivia about this Coronabot is that a lot of countries were building these chatbot solutions during the pandemic, and there was a kind of competition between the countries of who will build it first. And we've been told that Finland stood second right next to Denmark, and Denmark was able to build a solution in 2 days. And I think we'd like to know how that happened.
Yeah, it's a very good result to do it basically from nothing to production in 2 days. The answer in this case is how that was possible is Azure HealthBot. Azure HealthBot is one of that kind of products that provide a lot of ready-made capabilities and bits and pieces for you, so you don't need to start from scratch. And it has also capabilities around healthcare. For example, it's familiar with healthcare-related vocabulary, so that you don't need to start wondering how you do that stuff related to that yourself. One of the key things in Azure HealthBot is that it provides different kind of templates for various common scenarios in healthcare. So for example, you have templates for triage or symptom checking, for asking or providing information about health-related topics, and also if you would like to build a bot which will help you to schedule an appointment with doctor. And in this slide, you will actually see how the designer in HealthBot looks like. So as you can see, there's also a low-code capabilities to make it easier and accelerate the development of HealthBot. And as you can see, it's a flowchart type of logic. So at the top, you can see how the user is greeted and welcomed, and then at the bottom, when the logic is going forward after the different actions, you will then see how the bot is, for example, handing off the discussion to a human. This is one example of low-code tool that can help development a lot. You can also work with code first as well. So if you would like to code everything and use HealthBot that way, it's also possible. And the customization, it's not only limited to the logic of the bot, but you can also customize, for example, the localization of the bot. So if you want to offer it in various different languages, or for example in Finnish, that's pretty easy. This particular image actually is from the actual Coronabot from HUS, and how they localize their bot to be available in Finnish and Swedish as well. And on the left side pane with the black background, you can see that there are also other ready-made things there that you can use. So for example, under language models, you could easily plug in natural language processing and understanding capabilities. Under integrations, you could easily integrate and plug your bot into, for example, Teams or some other channels. And under analytics, you can find different kind of ready-made monitoring tools so that you don't need to start figuring out how to do that yourself.
And what Coronabot, or what Azure Bot is it's built on top of a robust Azure Bot service. Here you can see the UI of the Azure Bot service, which you can use to build your own chatbots, not just a healthcare bot. What healthcare bot is it's customized for health, a chatbot that's customized for healthcare. But if you wanted to take a code-first approach, you could also do that with the bot service and use our SDK. You can write your own bot in .NET or JavaScript or whatever you feel is right for you. Or you could use the visual designer and build your own chatbot. So I think it's quite a versatile tool. We will continue our discussion on chatbots and healthcare bots and Coronabot in our breakout room at 14:15 with our colleague Tommi Paavilainen, who is an account technology strategist at Microsoft and has been helping healthcare customers in building and implementing these solutions, such as the HealthBot.
Yeah, and before we end, the last thing we wanted to leave you with is about digital skills development. So last summer, LinkedIn, GitHub, and Microsoft got together and started this digital skills development initiative. And partially because when COVID hit, everything went remote. People needed to learn new digital skills. They needed to upgrade their skills, and there also were people who, for example, were left out of job or profession because of the lockdowns, for example. So this initiative, its mission is to provide digital skills and digital skilling for anyone. And the interesting thing with this initiative is that we are able to match the in-demand jobs with relevant skilling, meaning that from LinkedIn we can see that, okay, what kind of skills are needed for these different kind of jobs. So if you're, for example, interested in, let's say, becoming a software developer, you could see that, hey, these are the types of skills that are needed in general to apply for this kind of jobs. And you could then easily take the courses and different kind of hands-on labs to get those skills. After that, you will get a certificate by LinkedIn, and that of course helps you to then apply for those jobs. And there are also courses for soft skills. So for example, if you are interested in becoming a, let's say, project manager or sales representative, you have courses for that kind of skills as well. And especially for Mimit-Koda, probably many of you are very interested in programming. So there is a wide range of courses and skills to learn. So different programming languages, for example, and courses for different skill levels in programming. We would really recommend you to going and checking this out because there is a lot of content that can be very useful for you. And also it's free of charge, which is always good. And this initiative will be available until the end of this year.
Then that's a great way to end this discussion. I think I've personally also been using these learning tools and courses and have used them to upgrade my skills. COVID-19 has posed in front of us some unprecedented number of challenges. But the answers and the solutions lie within us. If you have a great idea to solve many of these challenges, know that there are tools available to help your idea take shape. You could take any approach from low code to code first to no code, but the tools are there to help you because it's no longer writing a code that compiles. Today you could be writing a code that could help save lives. And that, to us, is the purpose and the power of technology. Thank you so much.
Thank you.